Record, I am Assemblywoman Lisa Krasner, representing Assembly District 26. I am here today to present for your consideration AB 257, which establishes the Nevada State Holocaust Museum. It took the Germans and their accomplices 4.5 years to murder 6 million Jews. They were at their most efficient from April to November 1942, 250 days in which they murdered some 2.5 million Jews. They never showed any restraint. They slowed down only when they began to run out of Jews to kill, and they only stopped when the Allies defeated them. There was no escape. The murderers were not content with destroying the communities. They also traced each hidden Jew and hunted down each fugitive. The crime of being a Jew was so great that every single one of them had to be put to death. The men, the women, the children, the committed, the disinterested, the healthy, the creative, the sickly, all were meant to suffer and die with no reprieve, no hope, no possible amnesty, no chance for alleviation. Most of the Jews of Europe were dead by 1945. A civilization that had flourished for almost 2,000 years was no more. But it wasn't just Jews that were murdered. It was persons of color, persons with disabilities, and gays. All of these people were killed because they were different. Why do we need a museum? The Holocaust is perhaps the most infamous atrocity committed in all of human history. So why, after all these years, do we need a museum in the state of Nevada? To remind future generations of the past and to ensure that this does not happen again.
And I appreciate you both bringing this important measure. I know at the national level, we've seen a small group of people who have tried to silence this horrendous and terrible reality, and I think it's important that we don't allow that to become the norm. So I appreciate you trying to ensure that Nevada recognizes and keeps that history alive. As we know, history tends to repeat itself when we don't acknowledge it. So I appreciate both of you being here and all those of you who are here in support.
Not a question, but a statement on the importance and on the necessity of such a museum in our state. The Holocaust was a horrendous part of our history, a terrible situation that killed, as you stated, over 6 million Jews, as over 2/3 of the European Jewish community. Purposeful eradication of an entire group of people. Museums like this remind us our history. It's not just about remembering the 6 million people that were lost. It's about the generations that were lost as a result of those actions. How many scientists have we lost? I don't know if you know, Albert Einstein was a refugee from the Holocaust, a physicist who transformed the world with his theory of relativity. How many doctors have we lost? Our world would have been a different place now if it wasn't for dark spots on our history like this. It's also about relevance. This is not something that we should relegate to history and study and remember. It's relevant and real today. In parts of our world, this stuff is still happening. There are people out there who are persecuting an entire group of people just because who they are and what they believed in, or what they believe in and who they worship. It's relevant. It's important for us to remember. Each one of us are responsible to make sure that the next generation understands what happened and what is happening in parts of our world now, so we can deter such a thing from happening again. So thank you for doing this. Some might think, why is this relevant to Nevada? Why so far away from Europe? But the importance of it could not be overstated. I get emotional when I talk about these things, but thank you for doing it.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I thank you for the opportunity to speak in favor of this bill. My name is Penny Brock. I'm from Reno. I'm a member of Christians United for Israel, otherwise known as CUFI. It's a national organization. There are many members in the state of Nevada, and we strongly support the state of Israel and the Jewish people, and our hearts are always grieved by what happened in the Holocaust.
Good morning, Don Gallimore, speaking as a citizen right now, but I am the third vice president for the Reno Sparks NAACP. And for the most part, I can't see anything wrong with developing a new museum. I was integral in trying to maintain some of the African-American historical sites, Virginia City, the libraries, things like that. And Assemblyman Asef, he mentioned that everybody's affected by this, and I haven't seen so much crying for a while.
And members of the committee, for the record, my name is Elliott Malan. Typically, you'll see me here in a way different capacity, but today I come to you as a Jewish Nevadan and as a citizen to talk about what we call the Shoah, better known as the Holocaust. As a Jewish Nevadan, the Holocaust and anti-Semitism has had a major impact on my life, and every day I strive to live and remember the victims, those that perished, those that survived, and those from my own family. Today, as the regional governor for the Jewish fraternity for the state of Nevada, overseeing chapters at both the University of Nevada, Reno, and UNLV, I get almost constant emails about swastikas on our campuses, on our homes, or threats made against Jewish students. Anti-Semitism is the fastest growing hate crime in the United States and world, and these are our realities every single day. Remembering the Holocaust is more than about remembering my ancestors. It's about remembering what hate and bigotry can do against anyone, be it anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, and all forms of hatred. Establishing a place for Nevada to remember and teach the Holocaust is an important step in remembering what hate and bigotry can do. And I implore you to pass this legislation for our future generations to learn from. Thank you very much.
My name is Heidi Garfinkel Barry. I am the executive director of Hillel of Northern Nevada, but I'm not here in that capacity today. Today I'm here to talk to you as a Jewish woman and as a person who deals with Jews on college campuses every single day. In that capacity, I can tell you that the swastika issues are real, the anti-Semitism is real, the Holocaust denial is real. And every single day, it's getting worse.
Eva Medlovic, I'm from Budapest, Hungary. I'm 85 years old, and I was about 9 years old when the Germans came in, and everything changed. Couldn't go anywhere. You had a curfew. You couldn't go to the movies or the theater or the opera or anywhere if you were Jewish. And they mostly picked on the men because it was easy to tell whether they were Jewish or not. And they would beat them up and kill them when they found out that they were Jewish. All the Jews were gathered in the ground floor and put in line to go to the train. And one of our neighbors pulled us out, me and my sister. She was 6 years old. And they hid us. Then a couple of days later, I saw my mother come up. She escaped, and she came back, and she found our father and my brother in the ghetto. So she said, if we have to die, we have to die together. We're going to the ghetto.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, I'm Heidi Gansert. I'm a state senator from District 15 in Washoe County, and I'm here to testify in support of Assembly Bill 257 and thank its sponsors for bringing it forward. I have a daughter who's 26 now who fell in love with a Jewish American man about 6 years ago, whose family survived the Holocaust. Not all of them. He was actually born in Israel, and his immediate family moved to America. But my daughter, when she finished undergraduate, she worked for a year and a half at the Holocaust Museum in Los Angeles and had the privilege of escorting survivors, as you just saw, to schools to make them aware of the Holocaust. She also wrote grants for that year and a half and is now finishing up law school. But the work that she did and the people who she met impacted our entire family. And what we see right now is a rise in anti-Semitism. We see rallies. We see members of the U.S. Congress speaking in anti-Semitic ways. And the work that she does was critically important, and I think we need to do some of that work here. I think we need to make sure that every Nevada child understands the atrocities that transpired, that their families understand, that we have visitors who come here who can understand, because it was horrific. And if we don't make sure folks understand and are exposed and are more aware of what happened, it could repeat itself.
Mike Dyer, speaking for the Nevada Catholic Conference, which is how the Catholic bishops of Nevada speak in the legislature, and the Catholic bishops of Nevada are strongly in support of this bill.
Thank you, Vice Chair. For the record, my name is Dylan Hoosier, speaking on behalf of Nevada's Israeli American community. I am speaking here this morning to request your support for AB 257, establishing Nevada's State Holocaust Museum, introduced by Assemblywoman Lisa Krasner and sponsored by Assembly members Spiegel, Bilbray, Axelrod, and Cohen, as well as Senators Orenshaw and Settlemeyer. This important legislation strengthens the existing Governor's Advisory Council on Education related to the Holocaust by providing a center for all Nevadans to learn the lessons of tolerance and how to confront hate while learning about this important event in human history. It's our hope that this museum will serve as a living memorial to the Holocaust and will inspire Nevadans statewide to confront hatred and promote human dignity, to serve as a center of active learning for Nevadans of all ages and backgrounds, while cultivating a sense of moral responsibility among our residents so that they will be prepared to respond constructively to incidents of hate and intolerance. We ask that you support this important legislation. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman and committee members. My name is Sen Chetta. I attend Walter Johnson Junior High, and I am in 6th grade. My father is Syrian, and my mother is Israeli. I am a first-generation American born and raised in Las Vegas. I support the establishment of a Holocaust museum in the state of Nevada for a few reasons. The first reason is it would be better for the general public to be informed about the Holocaust and all the genocide and ethnic cleansing that followed after. A genocide denied is a genocide in the making. The cycle of violence will never end unless truth is told and addressed. The second reason is the state of Nevada, in creating future leaders, should teach about human dignity and tolerance to make the world a better place for my generation and future generations to come. Thank you for supporting this bill. Thank you.
And thank you.
Good morning, Chairman and committee members. My name is Lyndon Ashton, and today I will tell you the importance of an Armenian Genocide and Holocaust Museum. The Armenian Genocide and the Jewish Holocaust were two of the most important unrecognized massacres in human history. As I am now supporting the build of this museum, it is important to me because I myself am half Jewish and half Armenian. I support the building of this museum because all Nevada can learn about the artifacts and people who survived the genocide and Holocaust. My great-great-grandparents were survivors of the genocide, and without them, I wouldn't be here today supporting the build of this museum. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your leadership. Never stop speaking out about the things that matter, so thank you.
Sure. Danny Tarkanian. My family on my dad's side are Armenian genocide survivors. The Armenian genocide was the first mass extermination of people in the 20th century, and it still today hasn't been fully recognized. 1.5 million Armenians were killed out of the 2 million that lived there at the time.
Honorable members of the Assembly, my name is Andy Armenian, and I'm an active Armenian-American citizen here in Las Vegas. In full support of AB 257, and I would like to add that only a few years ago, back in 2015, the Armenian community in Nevada, as well as worldwide, they commemorated the 100 anniversary of the Armenian genocide that took place during World War I. I'm very proud that the state of Nevada is one of 49 states that recognizes the Armenian genocide, and the history should never be forgotten. Skeptics used to ask us, why do we bother for remembering something which took place 100 years ago? And I would like to reply saying that we do remember. I believe Jewish and Armenian communities worldwide will never forget either the genocide or the Holocaust, and history should never be forgotten. I'm in full support of AB 257. Thank you.
My name is Tarik Ali. I am testifying on behalf of Khalid Al-Na'is. He is a Syrian refugee who came to the United States from Homs, Syria in 2016. These are his words. He has seen genocide in this current day. He's seen children gassed, shot, and butchered by the Syrian government, not to mention men and women as well. He wants the world to remember these atrocities as they are still continuing in Syria. He wants to let the world know and let you know that he is in full support of AB 257, so the world, as well as the state of Nevada, will not forget that over 1 million innocent people and counting have died in Syria. He wants the world to know and remember what happened and is happening in Syria so that this will never happen again. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Milan Chatterjee, and I'm a proud resident of Las Vegas. I've had the privilege to be involved in a number of Jewish organizations that strengthen the sacred bond between the United States and Israel. Currently, I serve as Associate Compliance Counsel for the Las Vegas Sands Corporation. Today, I'm here in my personal capacity and not on behalf of Sands to enthusiastically support AB 257. Nevada's diversity has been enriched by the Jewish and Israeli American communities. The Holocaust is a landmark event for these communities and our nation. Through the Holocaust, we learned the importance of human rights, dignity, and how hatred and discrimination can lead to the unthinkable.
My name is Lena Hovanesian, and I represent the Armenian National Committee of America, Nevada chapter. I'm the co-chair, and I'm honored to be here today to speak with the Assembly, and thank you for this opportunity. Those who do not learn from history are destined to repeat it, as we've heard here today. And one of the most important lessons in our history was the first genocide of the 20th century, the Armenian genocide, in which 1.5 million Armenians were massacred and slaughtered. We stand in solidarity today with the Jewish community in Las Vegas and Nevada and the world because we have a common plight with the Jewish people. Our genocide has been unacknowledged, and that is a wound that remains. The only remedy to battle or to heal the wounds of the past is education.
Good morning, Chairman, committee members, Sagal Chara. On August 22nd, following his attack on Poland, Hitler stated, "Who, after all, speaks today of the annihilation of the Armenians, justifying the murder of 6 million Jews as irrelevant as the 1.5 million Armenians slaughtered under the Turkish regime less than 15 years earlier." After Nuremberg, the world promised never again, and it happened again. Only 30 years after Nuremberg, between 1975 and 1979, 25% of Cambodia's population was massacred in the Cambodian genocide under the Khmer Rouge. The world said never again. And 10 years after that, the Infal genocide in northern Iraq in 1986, where the Ba'ath regime for 3 years systematically gassed over 250,000 Kurds in front of us, despite of our promise to never again. 10 years after that, we watched 1 million people slaughtered in 100 days in Rwanda, while simultaneously the Bosnian Muslim population was being exterminated in Sarajevo. And again, we promised never again. And yet, the UN passes more resolutions, and 5 years ago, we saw images of children passed in Syria, despite of humanity's promise to never again. History is not taught and preserved through UN resolutions and memorials. Accountability is taught and preserved in museums. It is seeing these images with human eyes that shocks the conscience and creates a moral obligation to humanity to make sure that this does not happen ever again. The failure to see atrocities with human eyes is what is paving the way to Holocaust revisionism and whitewashing genocide. The establishment of a Nevada State Holocaust Museum will serve as a center for education of Holocaust, genocide, and ethnic cleansing, and will demonstrate that the state of Nevada, as the 30th state to have such an institution, has stepped up to the podium of morality and consciousness, and will show 40 million tourists a year and Nevadans that Nevada is more than entertainment. This project is not meant to be for any one religion, any one ethnic group, or any one race. This project is for the people of the state of Nevada, the people that perished, and for the sake of humanity and dignity in our community and our state. For all these reasons, I urge you to pass AB 257. Thank you.
My father-in-law was the late, great Jerry Tarkanian, and he could not even talk about his mom without crying. His mom escaped the genocide as a young girl on horseback with coins sewn into her dress, and she came through Ellis Island, but before she even made it to Ellis Island, she witnessed her uncle, her brother, and the rest of the town be beheaded and put into a church and have it lit on fire, and they all burned to death. These are stories that are passed down through our family members to our children. And as a parent, I want to make sure to educate my children to the utmost. And that's my responsibility as a parent, to make sure that they understand where they came from, the strength of their relatives, the fight in their relatives, and how important this is to never, ever repeat it again. And to make sure that they can tell their children and their children's children. And my husband, a few years ago, was able to gift 2 of our children with a trip to Armenia, and they were able to go through the genocide museum that they have there. And they came back with tremendous amounts of information that I wish that we were able to give them that same gift here locally, so we didn't have to travel halfway around the world to learn about what exactly happened to their relatives.
Is there any additional testimony in support of Assembly Bill 257, either in Carson City or in Las Vegas? All right, seeing none, we'll move to opposition. Are there any in opposition to Assembly Bill 257? Please come forward, either in Las Vegas or here in Carson City. Please come forward. All righty. Seeing that there is none in opposition, are there any in neutral who would like to testify at this time on Assembly Bill 257? If there are, please come forward, either here or in Las Vegas. Great. All right, seeing none, we'll ask the presenter to come give us some brief closing comments, and we'll move forward.
Thank you, Co-Chair McCurdy. Thank you, entire committee, for giving me the opportunity and the time to present this to you, and I would urge your support. Thank you.